Welcome to the What If podcast right here on YouTube. I don't know, man. I don't know if this is going to hold. We always have computer problems. I don't know what the problem is.
What's wrong?
I need to ask Santa for more computer stuff, I guess, or something. I don't know. The computer's clamoring for more storage.
It wants it.
It does.
It needs the store. It's hungry.
It is.
You gotta feed it, baby.
It's hungry for the storage. I don't know. I'm looking at it right now. It's at 56% CPU. I don't know. Anyway, we'll just record and we'll see how it goes. Hey, we're back from Thanksgiving. Did you have a good Thanksgiving, Zach?
I did. I ate lots of food. I had only one Thanksgiving this year.
That's
which is
right.
Fantastic. Usually I have to eat 2 massive meals in a day.
That hurts my feelings.
Yeah, you have to. You.
I guess
You're
I get
forced to.
I'm forced
You
to.
must.
I kind of am.
That's right. Jake, you and I spent Thanksgiving together, had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes, it was wonderful. It was very fun.
It was fun. We had some awesome food.
What was the best part of coming to Texas, Dad?
The weather.
I know.
I get back to Colorado and it's so freaking hot that I can't. You would think that I was talking about that it was cold and I went to a warm climate, but that's not what happened. I went from a warm climate of Colorado to a colder climate of Texas, and it was
actually chilly here.
I got to see rain. Do you remember what rain looks like?
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Okay, for those of you who have never watched the What If podcast or listened to the What If podcast, we are a podcast of inspiration and motivation and education and I don't know, anything, kind of other Asian you can think of. That is us. But I do want to start off with this. What's the opposite of inspiration?
I think that's a good question.
What is it?
Also, before we do that,
demoralize?
are you guys selling a car?
Look at that.
It could be.
2019 Chevy Equinox behind us.
I like it.
Look at
I
that.
mean, I'm all in for it.
We're in the
background
garage,
is
man. That's where
gas,
we're
man. It's good stuff.
We're in the garage. We have no background today. I don't have a sheet big enough. I got a crappy computer. I got crappy technology, and I got no sheet big enough to put behind us for a backdrop.
I think it's fantastic.
That's
I like
okay.
it.
We'll
I
get
like
it.
the new look.
We'll get into that later on, though. We will get into that later on. But I'm still looking for that opposite. Demoralizing. That's a good word.
Maybe despair.
Despair. Both those words are fantastic for what happened to me today.
Oh boy.
No, I talked with Zach a little bit about it. He knows just a little bit about it, but I'm going to put it up here on the screen. And that's what I woke up to this morning. I was going to go on. I was going to put on a blog, put it on another blog, and the website has been suspended. Now I'm thinking to myself, how in the world could we? It's not like I didn't make the payment on it because it's free. There is no payment on it. I was thinking, there's only one thing that's different about it and I've had this website for like 3 years and nothing's ever happened.
It's you and me. We jinxed it.
And I put the podcast on and I did the blog. I'm thinking to myself, what happened? So I'm immediately on email. I'm at customer service. Of course, you can't call them because it's like 3 a.m. in Zurich. That's where they're at, Zurich. I don't even know where Zurich is.
That means nothing to me.
I was waiting for Jacob to say what Zurich was, and maybe
I don't know.
I don't,
That sounds like it's. I don't know. It sounds like it's next to Wakanda or something.
It might be
I've
next to
never
Wakanda.
even heard of that.
A little bit of Wakanda.
The strong allies.
But so I'm on. I have to email him. So I email him in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm pretty harsh. I'm straightforward. I'm like, this is a website that I got to have, and you just suspended it. And it would have been nice if you would have just given me an email and told me why you suspended it, and I would have fixed it.
Right.
And it's about halfway. I don't know. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I get this email back that says, Webnode runs these algorithms and it does these anti-spam things, and yours accidentally got caught up in it. And we reviewed your site manually, and we turned it back on. So I'm like, come on, man. My website was down for it. Not that I've got people pouring into my website, but if they did go, here's what
They wouldn't have been able to.
Yes, yeah, they wouldn't have seen the website. What they would have seen is from somebody who's trying to say, I'm a professional, have me come speak at your thing. What they see is your website has been suspended.
Yeah.
That's what they see. How professional is that?
Get it together, Webnode.
Anyway, whatever the opposite of inspiration is, that's what I had this morning.
But it's back, Dad. Don't you see? It's back. You're back, ready for new possibilities.
It's
right?
on. So let's talk about that for just a second, okay? For those of you who are new, there's some stuff going on. I want to get the website up for people, so you can see it on the screen. If I can get it to transition here, there's the website. It's believeinthewhatif.webnode.com, and if you go there now, there's actually a website. It's there.
It's there. It's not suspended.
We're not going
We're up.
Yeah, it's actually there. And on the website are some tasty tidbits. You can go to the podcast and see all of these podcasts that we've done. I think this is our third one.
That's right. Number 3, baby.
Lucky number 3.
All of them are there. You can watch them. You can contact us. Maybe you want a signed picture of Zach. Maybe you need a date for your daughter, and she wants to ask Jake. I don't know. That wouldn't work because I don't know how that would. Yeah, with your wife. But still,
got 3 married men here.
Yeah. Maybe you want something like that. You can get a hold of us there.
You can ask.
You can read. You can read the new blog. The new blog there is called The Janitor's Closet. I write some.
It's high quality. It's very good stuff.
Yeah, I think so. I've been putting some stuff on there. You can get a hold. You can go to our Facebook. You can find out all the things that we do where I go and speak. You can book me to speak at your school, at your church, whatever. You can do all of that stuff. But the other one that's kind of cool is the Patreon. And there's a Patreon page that you can go to. And Patreon, for those of you who don't know, do you know what Patreon is?
I do know what Patreon is.
Do you know what, Jake, you know what Patreon is, don't you?
Yeah.
Patreon is kind of one of those things where you become a patron of whatever it is. Say, and this would be a patron of the What If. And there's different levels that you can join at. You can do like $3 a month or $5, and each level that you go to, you get things. And you'll see them on the Patreon page. And basically support the What If project financially each month, a little bit. And you know what it does? It helps us to buy a sheet so we can put behind us. That's exactly what it does. So we don't
Take a
have
Bare
Bear?
we don't
bones,
have to
baby. We
shill
need
this
that sheet.
car.
Help us get a sheet,
Help
man.
us get a sheet for $3 a month. If somebody just goes
Oh,
there
it's
and
a nice
clicks
looking
that,
car, though. It's shiny.
you get you'll get newsletters, you get the blogs before they come out, you get behind the scenes stuff that we record at the places that I go and speak. And here's the nice thing about it, I'd have to go in and see, but I think it's $15 a month. I'm not sure if it's $15 or $25 a month. I think it's $15 a month. You get shout outs on the podcast, and I believe one of the levels you actually get to come on the podcast.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah. So if you would like to do that, so check it out. Go to believeinthewhatif.webnode.com. Check out all of those things. The new blog, the podcast that you might have missed last time was Pastor Dan, and check all those things out because the What If Project is on the move.
For $1 on the Patreon, we'll stop by and give you a big old kiss.
For $1?
With consent, obviously.
$1?
Just $1. It's easy.
Shoot.
He's cheap.
It starts at $3, man. A
Have you
dollar.
guys seen that? You guys seen that video? It's a big thing on TikTok right now. It's
Oh,
No.
obviously not.
this guy walking around Coney Island and he's talking to these people and he doesn't even say his name right. He says Joe Byron, but he's trying to say Joe Biden. It's just really funny. He says, "What would you do if you were in the Oval Office with Joe Byron right now?" This guy says, "I would give him a big old kiss."
No,
So there you go.
I haven't seen that.
$1.
I haven't seen that. The other thing we want to ask you to do is, if you're listening to this right now on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell. You'll know when a new show comes up, a new podcast comes up. Subscribe to our channel. That really helps. You don't think it does? For all the places that you guys watch on YouTube, subscribe.
Yeah, baby.
It's not going to hurt you.
It won't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt you, but I can't tell you how important that is, that somebody subscribes. Here's an example. You do a live chat, maybe you want to monetize your show. Maybe you want to put some ads on there or something. You can't do that unless you get 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, you got to have an audience.
You have to have, YouTube doesn't want to waste its time on you.
Huh?
So it really helps. Even if you just click, even if they've got like 3 million subscribers, just hit it. It's not going to hurt you at all. So subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell, and make sure we know. Here's what I want to talk about today. It's probably a little bit thing. It I don't know that it has to do with inspiration or motivation, but it might. I think it has more to do with demoralizing. But it's a question I have. The three of us sitting here, we all have, faith plays a big part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Something happened today. It has nothing, I'm not going to talk about the Supreme Court or nothing. I'm not going to talk about that. But something happened. I think it was either today, it came out today, or it was yesterday. I want to make sure I get it right here. I don't know if you guys saw this or not. But I read it, and I wanted to ask you how. I don't know if you heard about Marcus Lamb. Do you know who Marcus Lamb is?
I don't think so.
Marcus Lamb was the head of Daystar. Daystar is the second biggest Christian network behind CBN. It was huge, and on Daystar and Marcus Lamb, they ran a lot of things about the dangers of vaccinations. They run a lot of things about conspiracies. Not that isn't unheard of to hear within the Christian community, right? They're just pastors who do that. Marcus Lamb was one of them. Marcus Lamb died of COVID. Either it was today or yesterday. I don't remember. Yesterday he died of COVID. I wanted to ask you guys, as a let's just say as a church follower or a church attendee, it would be for those who are big Daystar watchers. It would be like if Pat Robertson had died of COVID. Pat Robertson, big guy on CBN, 700 Club.
Right.
Ring any bells? Nothing? Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, 700 Club. I work in a sniff. It's on all the time.
Yeah, and I think his son is the host now. Anyway, that's the equivalent for people who would watch Daystar. That would be like you listen and you listen and you listen, and the guy that you listen to, all the guy or girl or whatever listen to every day is on your TV, and they're telling you over and over, and interview after interview, story after story, the vaccine is bad. It's not good for us. It's a thing of the devil. COVID is of the devil. We can fight it with faith. All of that. And then that person dies of COVID. Does it make? What do you do with that, Jake? What do you do with it? How do you unpack that?
Yeah, like I think it's good to talk about. Our aim is to talk about what inspires us, but it's always good to talk about the flip, which is what you started with, this idea of okay, how do you get inspired after you've been demoralized or after you fall into despair, and I think we tend to do that. I don't know. I say I do that. I'll hang so much on a person or a personality or, anybody, and I'll hang expectations on them, and I'll hang, hopes on them, and they always prove their humanity in any way, just like I prove my humanity every day.
Right.
Which means I can't live up, they can't live up to those things. And I think it's important to just recognize how, I obviously disagree with what this person, was saying, but there's a lot of people after that happens, after this person dies, that becomes, demoralized, right? And fall into despair because of the person or because of the things that they were hanging all of their hopes on. Right. Yeah. So that I think the irony definitely doesn't help because, I think that's even more cause for despair in how this person was taken away from us. I don't mean us as in me. I'm not a watcher of that. I didn't even know who this person was, but
right.
of that community. And so I think the first step in that, I think the first thing that I would try to do, or maybe that I should do, but would run away from, is to sit in that and to recognize, I am currently in a state of despair. I am on the opposite end of inspiration, right? I am not inspired to live a different way. I am so wrapped up in sadness, grief, anger, and I'm not in any way receptive to inspiration right now. And that's where I'm at. I don't know if that's what you were thinking of, but I was just thinking of my tendency to never accept that, or to never say that that's true in my own life. Never say, I'm always receptive to good things in life. I'm always receptive to inspiration and hope, and that's great, but it's not true at all. So
yeah,
I don't know, what do you guys think?
I think,
how do you respond to despair?
Zach, let me give you this, and then maybe you can do with it whatever you want, or answer the question however you want. For example, and I'm reading from the Washington Post. This is the Washington Post, so do with it what you want. And it says, quote, one section of a Daystar webpage, Daystar, which is Marcus Lamb, who ran that, was titled, quote, Vaccines, the Unauthorized Truth. It begins with these words, quote, what if the most dangerous thing your child could face in life is the very thing you're told by your doctors is safe, unquote. Now, people read that, they go to his page, those people who are followers of these programs and all of that, sees that, gets cooked up with this and really thinks to themselves, okay, this is dangerous for my kids, it's dangerous for me, these vaccines are bad. And then Marcus Lamb dies of COVID. And do you then at a moment say, oh, which one's worse? Which one's safer? If the vaccine doesn't kill me, then it's not equal because he just died. This thing that's going to kill me, or this vaccine that could make me sick but not going to kill, type of thing. What do you do when that person or that program or whatever that has inspired you so much lets you down? And or maybe you just, and I'm sure that there are other people who are just continue on with the whole, you know what I'm saying, with the whole thing of it, well, it doesn't matter if it killed him, the vaccine would have killed him quicker. I can hear that. So what do you do? I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm asking. I'm just saying, something that kind of was inspiring is now cockeyed. Everything went south.
Well, I guess first I'll ask a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Is this considered like a church? Is this that pastor who?
No, this is Daystar would be like, it's a network. It's a Christian network.
Just a network.
It's a network, yeah.
Okay, so not considered like a church or something of like.
No, he's the founder of this Christian network that plays religious,
Okay.
Church services and just like the 700 Club and news things.
Yeah.
It's a Christian network. He's not a pastor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the only thing that I've been kind of thinking about is that, it's I guess an opportunity to be inspired in a different direction.
Yeah.
If you have been, I guess leaning on this individual for your inspiration, and maybe it becomes a wake up call to lead you into something that leads you into a better direction, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Because I guess I was more upset when I thought it was like a head passer or something. That was, he's just known for his COVID stance, which that shouldn't be something that you don't seek medical
Kind of
advice
sad,
from a pastor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I guess the verse I have kind of stuck in my head is, people use for evil, God will use for good.
Good.
And
Yeah.
that, maybe this will be a wake up call to people who are leaning on this network of saying, hey, you guys need to, either get right or, I'm going to search for someone else who's going to speak truth into my life and, not just be I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and this kind of goes off a little bit into, we used to do the Right Answer podcast until we moved over to this. It was always the idea. In this Washington Post article, it states, and I'm assuming this is correct, if not, I'm quoting it from the Washington Post, white evangelical Christians resist coronavirus vaccines at higher rates than any other religious groups in the United States. So I think my question is, do we have to be cautious about what inspires us?
Definitely.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
It's just,
I think that's
I
a
kind
great
of went,
point to reach.
yeah, I kind of went to, a weird direction today in the fact of when you hear the word inspiration, which we hope to talk about on this show a lot, motivation, what inspires us in all different ways. But can it be can it be a negative thing too? Can inspiration be negative?
yes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, Dad, and we should definitely go into it because yeah, there are plenty of people who become inspired to do hurtful things to themselves and others, right?
Yes.
And
Uh,
so I think absolutely. And so the question that's begging to be asked is, how do you know, right?
yeah. Yeah.
How do you know if
Or
the
how do you,
inspiration is
yeah.
that
Because
you are
if,
receiving is, um, is harmful to you? Is it could be as simple as, are you inspired to hurt yourself and others? Okay, then that's probably not good. Right. Is it as
well,
simple as that? I mean, yes, but
I'm just
I don't know.
thinking,
What do y'all think?
I'm just thinking about I'm thinking about inspiration. Just like we talked about on the last show, and Zach was mentioning this inspiration motivating us to change, to be different, um, to think a certain way, to act to behave a certain way. It changes us, excites us, encourages us, builds us up, and that's what is inspiring. And I was just thinking today, I can think of a lot of things that do that are really, really bad. Yet if I'm in the midst of inspiration and I'm feeling really good about it and I'm motivated to change, is it enough to overcome the common sense that says this doesn't sound right? You can take just about anything and you can take gangs and a sense of belonging and financial independence and a sense of well-being in a group and a sense of protection and it's all of these things that appear to be good that could really inspire you to change. But who says, I was inspired, I was motivated to change to be in a gang?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even just going back to, all of the riots, people are being inspired to, go out and,
Burn people's businesses down.
yeah. So, I mean, I guess for me, it kind of boils down to, where do you find your morals? Where do you anchor yourself in? And, for us, I guess it's easy in the Bible and Christianity. We have things that anchor us down there. But if you're kind of outside of that, I guess I don't know what the anchors are a lot more wishy-washy, I feel.
Well,
Yeah, I
go
think
ahead,
about,
Jake.
sorry, Dad, go
No,
on.
no, you go ahead.
I'm not saying,
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, Zach. I think about, the idea of, okay, you're inspired to change, and then there's the undercurrent of, why are you inspired to change, right? And I think the answer to that might be key. And I'm always just thinking out loud, so stop me if I'm crazy. But just like, okay, why am I inspired to change? And I just think like if the answer is because I want to gain power in some way, I don't know. I think that's like maybe we're on the right track. Or if the answer is I want to, I feel like I don't have power in this and I want to demonstrate power in a certain way, I think that is a dangerous
well, I mean,
I
that
range
could
of
be
inspiration.
taken in a
What
lot
do
of
you
wrong
think?
ways.
Yeah,
'Cause,
I was thinking the
you could have
same. Go ahead.
power over my eating habits. Power. I mean, like what kind of power are you talking about? Power.
Sure, and then it goes into that too.
I would
Okay.
say I would put an addendum on it, maybe,
Sure.
to say that power over something besides myself,
Yeah, I think
maybe over other
that's very
people.
true. Yes.
Because I agree with Zach, and that's exactly what was going through my head was the idea of inspired to take, I'm going to take my life back. I'm inspired to change by having
No,
power
and
over
so that
my.
goes into if I am inspired to, to have power over others, or
Yeah.
But I mean,
power
even that
to
could be like
harm others.
I'm inspired to,
with my
lead a
power,
church, and
then obviously no. So
Oh, sorry.
that's a good thing I think that's important, Dad, to think about. Okay, I have this inspiration, and with that, I'm going to check myself. Not, it doesn't have to be this thing of like, oh, I'm inspired, but tone yourself down right away because that's too much. You don't have to do that. But like, okay, I'm inspired. Exactly am I inspired to do, and why am I feeling inspired by this, right?
I would say that probably 75%, maybe I'd say 76%. That could be totally wrong.
He's making up numbers now?
I'm just making up numbers. That
We like to do that here.
inspiration and a motivation to change is usually started, or let's just say that the kickstart is, or the thing behind it is usually to better my present circumstance.
Yeah, I
Don't
think
you
that's
think
great.
whether it be health, emotion, financial, relationships, or anything is like, and I think because here's kind of what I want to get to this idea of on this show, on this podcast. I hope that we explore all areas of inspiration. So, what I mean by that is when you hear that word, that is usually, to me, that's an uplifting word. It's a very positive word. It's a very life-changing word. It has good fuzzy feelings around it and all that. Inspiration. I'm inspired. I'm inspired to write. I'm inspired to blah, blah, blah. But there's... I got so worked up, I choked on my spit.
Joking on my own spit.
Choking on my own spit. But it's also a negative thing if we let it be, because all it is a desire for a motivation to change, right? I mean, that's what we talk about. And we change for the good or we change for the bad. And so here's my question. Do our morals that you talked about, Zach, do they guide our inspirations, or do our inspirations guide our morals?
Well, I think it has. If it's not your morals guiding your inspirations, then I think you're going to be kind of tossed around the wind. Because
And that's what I think 76% of the people are. That's where I got the number.
That's 76.
That's where I got
Nice.
the number.
because I mean, even in Scripture it says to test all things, and
Right.
even when I'm going to a trusted place, a church, and it's a pastor I don't know,
Right.
I always have a very guarded stance as I hear someone speak for the first time, because I want to make sure that it's based in Christ and that I'm not being led astray or being inspired in a wrong direction. And I guess that's where I guess I go back to where you need to have your base, you need to have your foundation of something that you can test against to lead your inspiration, and to know when you shouldn't be inspired by something, even though it may sound good at the moment.
I'm just wondering if there's if if we get caught up in that. I was just looking up, I was actually trying to get a definition of inspiration is a feeling of enthusiasm you get from someone or something that gives you new and creative ideas. If something or someone is the inspiration for a particular book, work, art, or action, they are a source of the ideas. It also says the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something. In those definitions, I see a whole lot of good and some really bad avenues you could get cooked by.
Yeah, I mean, just like you could be inspired by bad things or inspired in a bad direction, you can be inspired by uninspiring things, if that makes sense.
No, I think that makes total sense.
Like in
in
tragedy, people can find inspiration and
sure,
something to move forward from to build upon. So I mean, go ahead.
Sorry, Zach, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think the thing that I'm thinking of, and it's probably really prevalent in our world today, I'm just thinking of like being inspired because you're angry about something.
Yes, absolutely.
In that dynamic, right? And so like, can anger ever lead to like positive, good, helpful change for yourself?
That's the very reason I voted for Kanye West.
Right.
Is inspired by anger.
So anger is obviously a good motivator, and it does inspire people to take action in certain courses, right? But I'm just trying to think of, if you are stopping and finding yourself inspired because you're angry at something, what should you do? Right.
Well, I think there's this slippery slope, and maybe it's not a slippery slope, but I don't think you can wrap yourself around one thing, because there's always things you can extrapolate from that. I go back to an old thing. You guys probably don't even remember it. It was back in the 80s. It was the MAD movement. It was MADD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. A mother had lost her son from a drunk driver, and this anger and grief just boiled over so much that she said, we've got to fight this. And so she formed MAD with that, that whole, what is it, an acronym, or that whole idea of we're angry at this. So you could say that out of those types of things, out of people's anger and guilt and grief, come these great things. I'm not sure that they were inspired to do it, but they were definitely motivated. I don't think in that point it was motivated to change myself. It was motivated to change others, or just motivated for change.
Right.
And so I think there are things where anger breeds, there's that thing of sometimes you got to do a little bit of evil to do a greater bit of good.
But is that actually helpful? I think is what we're talking about in terms of inspiration.
I think if you look at the MAD movement, and I think,
well, I don't think
you could find all kinds of things where people.
I don't know if you would say that they did evil, though. I mean, something evil happened to them. And
right.
Turns it around and
right. I'm not. Yeah, the little bit of evil thing doesn't apply. Let's go back to what Zach was talking about with the rioters. Out of this, even with the Rittenhouse verdict, in certain places, riots and everything, out of anger for injustice. I'm sure that they felt inspired and, to riot.
And to have some sort of action.
To react. But if you look back at it and say, if you put yourself in the place of a business owner that got ransacked, maybe it's all perspective. I don't know.
Which is important to have in any
Who
course of action.
who gets
I believe.
Here's the thing, who gets to make the call? Who gets to say, is it just human? Who gets to say, I'm sure, here's an example, I'm sure Ted Bundy was inspired.
That's what that's what I'm saying.
But I think we can all agree.
People who take action and make big changes. Now, big is just, big can either mean like very positive and like growing for humanity or for yourself or for others, or big can be like extremely destructive. Like, think that people who make big changes or people who are inspired greatly.
I would agree with that. That's one thing that we say. We say in the What If Project all the time. Little things, little actions make big changes. And big changes are a product of inspiration. But I think we can all agree that sometimes big changes are sometimes not good changes. They're bad changes.
Right.
I go back to that then, but then who gets to judge that? Is there actually a black and a white, and as we get more nebulous, it gets towards the fuzzy gray area? Because I think we can all agree Ted Bundy was wrong. I mean, that was bad, right?
You're taking a really controversial stance on that one.
I know. I'm trying to find that far. I'm trying to find the edges, and I think I've got Ted Bundy and Charles Manson and Adolf Hitler.
That's a conversation we have all the time, right? Who gets to decide, and it's always a great conversation because at the end, it's like kind of everyone, kind of you. There are these gray areas, and so I like what you're doing, Dad, of trying to find the edges, but hopefully.
So let's say Adolf Hitler,
we're trying to do,
and Mother Teresa.
Say like you should be trying to decide as well, right? As your inspiration takes its course, right? Over time, you're inspired to change, and so you start to change and you start to do this thing. Along the way, you should be evaluating yourself in your course of action, right? Is that safe to say? Yeah. Do you agree?
And I think I want to play on that word a little bit that you talked about, is that word change. Because we talk about that inspiration breeds motivation, which can breed change. I think we're agreed with that, right?
Yeah.
And so there is this idea of self-checking ourselves, that change is good. I could be inspired that, what? It's COVID lockdown, baby. It's potato chip time on the couch. I don't have to go to work. I'm watching every Marvel show there was. And I'm inspired. But the change is I put on 40 pounds. And so you have to check yourself and say, yeah, that's change. But is it good change? Is that a good thing? And the ability to actually be able to know if it's good or not.
And maybe it goes to the desire that is within you. Being honest about what is the desire that I have, or why was I inspired by this in the first place?
Because I love Marvel. Just want to lay on the couch, and I love potato chips, and I didn't have to go to work.
I think about something an inspiration that can start out, very, very good. And obviously that's always subjective, but that can start out as a very awesome thing and a really good change. Take this example of, okay, maybe I wasn't working, right? And I just didn't like to work, and I didn't want to do that with my life. And then I'm suddenly inspired to begin working, and I really want to provide for the people in my life. I think that's a fantastic thing, right?
Right.
And then as time goes on, that develops into a love of, it's not anymore. I want to work and produce something within this world and provide, but now it's, I have a love for money is why I'm doing my work. And so my action is I'm still working, I'm working, and I'm working even more and more and more. And that's my true love. Now it seems noble, but it's based out of a desire because I desire more money, more things, more stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so what once was good has now turned bad in my inspiration, but I'm still inspired to keep doing that thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess, there's this, I'm just kind of visualizing this like continuum of balance, right? in our inspirations. What do you guys think? Does that make any sense? Is that at all worth talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard because, so many things can be just if you like a slightly different lens and it turns to something good and something bad.
Which is frustrating for people who want to be inspired, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a wet blanket for anything, but I think it's important to view our lens, to have that lens of it. Sorry, keep on going.
In reality, morality isn't black and white.
Yeah.
And the only way...
Yeah, it's not. You're exactly right.
The only, solid morals that, at least I can lean on are things from the Bible, Because, that's... Even if we take something as crazy as murder, okay? Most people think that murder is bad. But then, if you...
I would agree with that.
But then if you
That's
go
controversial. You're taking a controversial...
The death penalty, all
That's
of a sudden, murder is okay.
Yeah. If you pull it out of the headlines today, the fight at the Supreme Court about abortion, that's the line.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide?
Yeah. So, even, something as bad as killing can be...
Subjective. Yeah. That just doesn't seem right, but it is.
But,
it definitely is.
Yeah. So, it's hard to, I guess, pin down, how you're supposed to, I guess, work around that. And I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, you're right.
I'm at a loss.
I just noticed myself that I begin to think, and since my nose and my sinuses are so bad, I've caught myself just doing this. I'm breathing into, and I'm thinking, and then I remember I'm on film. Is this fair to say? Is a great conversation about inspiration because now we've jacked it all up. It's easier to say, but is it that inspiration which motivates you to change personally, that's your call? We don't get to judge that, but motivation that causes change outside of yourself is open to public debate. Is that right?
Say that again. Sorry, I was in deep thought.
Were you going like?
I was.
And I'm thinking, people are thinking that I'm frozen. So inspiration, which motivates you to change yourself. In other words, I'm inspired. I get to decide that I'm going to change myself, either from within.
Right.
Is a personal decision and not open to really debate. People can discuss it and debate it, but that which causes you to change that affects other people is open for public discussion. For example, Ted Bundy, or Charles Manson. I'm using those. Adolf Hitler. The whole idea.
You can even take it another direction in an avenue. I think I agree with you, Dad. I think that's a great way to look at it. And it's open for public discussion and open for people to reject that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. As hard as that, you take it, hey, there's like the Ted Bundy version. That's, very easy to see like, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Right.
But then you even look at it in our stance, hey, there was this motivation to change and to give our lives to Christ. Right.
Right.
And then through that, this inspiration to share our stories and to share our faith with others. But now that becomes an open, space for the public too. You can't can't force that on anybody.
Right. It opens you up to ridicule or mockery or just or whatever.
Or just rejection.
Or just rejection. So, yeah, absolutely.
I think both of those are fair examples of that, even though they're very different. Yeah, which is frustrating because you come across, it's this idea of, I became so inspired, and I think that's fair to say. That's what we're doing. We became inspired, and now we want others to be inspired.
Yeah,
right?
I want you to feel what I felt.
And I want you to. It's
even
this
if
very
you don't want
human,
to.
beautiful.
Yeah,
this very human, beautiful emotion of sharing. Right. We talked about that the first time, or the first podcast of, I want you to feel what I felt. Let's share this feeling.
Yes.
And the hard part comes in when people say, I don't want to feel that feeling. I don't care about that feeling that you had.
And then we say, yes, you do. You just don't know it.
I mean, just don't know it yet.
That's the whole, yeah. So, okay, give me some guidance here. Tomorrow, when I follow up on our Facebook, just go to the What If Project. You can see the, pass by on the screen there. You go to our Facebook. Or if I were to put on our website, believeinthewhatif.webnode.com, you can see it right down there. If I were to put this phrase, would it be accurate? Would it be okay? Or would people go, what? If I were to put, be careful what inspires you.
I think that's a totally fair question. I will back you up any day, Dad.
Well, it's not a question.
Be careful what inspires you.
It's not. It's a statement. It's not a question.
It's a public service announcement.
Be careful what inspires you.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. I think that's a good statement.
So you would be like, would that, if you saw that, would you stop and be like, wait, what? Hold on now. Because I think, just like we had talked about at the beginning, I think there is a default emotional response to the word inspiration, or to be inspired, that it's always a positive thing. Doesn't matter what it is, I got inspired. Because the definition was kind of like, then it caused you to be creative. And there's another word, creative. Got I'm inspired, I'm creative. I'm cooking now. I'm just like 2 steps away from Picasso, and I'm ready to go. And then the next thing you know, you're Ted Bundy. That's a
whammy.
I don't think we're saying if you get inspired, you'll become terrible.
Yeah.
But we're definitely not saying that won't happen.
No.
Right?
No, I'm just caught on the teeter-totter of, I'm talking about Adolf Hitler's inspiration to write Mein Kampf that led to, out of anger from the loss of...
What inspires somebody to storm the Capitol building.
Right, exactly. All of those things that we look at that say, at the moment, they personally felt, this is the right thing to do. I'm cooked up. I'm ready to go. And all of us are sitting back there going, wait, what are you doing? Hold on, somebody's got to stop you. You talk about anger. You talk about Hitler coming out of the anger of what the world did to Germany in World War I. And then he ends up out of that anger just trying to, but he was inspired to defend Germany. And I think we can all say, oh, wait, Adolf, that's not right. You hold on, buddy.
Again, really controversial takes today.
Well, I don't want to get into it's very easy to nibble on the edges.
I agree, Dad. Be careful what inspires you. Look for inspiration, but be careful.
Be careful
when you find it.
That might be better. That might be a better thing. Look for inspiration, but be careful when you find it.
That's a great sentence.
That's going on the website, and that's on to that's
a
to
t-shirt
Facebook.
right there.
That's a T-shirt. If you $25 a month on Patreon, you can become a patron of the What If Project, and boom, you get that T-shirt. Bang. Be careful. Look for inspiration, but be careful when you find it. And I think I don't want to continually every podcast dwell on the negative part of it, but this Marcus Lamb thing got me going because obviously it's something that those who are very angry with the anti-vaxxers and the conspiracy people and all of those, it's food. I mean,
Right.
it's easy to grab a hold of that. And that happens, let's just say on the left, and we hear that, people hear that on who are anti-vaxxers or who are very much against that, and you really want to grab a hold of it and say, yeah, I got you. And it makes us happy. Doesn't make me happy, but it makes it happy.
Yeah.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but much like, I'll pull it from the news today. Much like when people who don't like CNN very much hear Chris Cuomo, boom, gone from CNN. You're like, I like that. We grab onto the things that we like, and it makes us happy. And then you have to step back and say, that's not a very good response. That's
Right.
That's
Or
not good at
maybe-
all.
Maybe more importantly, why do I like that?
Yes.
Right.
And usually it comes from some deep-seated seed of vengeance, or
Something. And I think what
the
we're
left
saying
would
is
call
that
it justice.
that is an important thing to analyze
Yeah.
in your inspirational journey.
I think
Don't let that go uncovered as you get inspired. Make it a part of the process.
I think all of that is covered through the statement, look for inspiration, but be careful when you find it.
Like it.
Copyrighted What If Project.
TM.
To TM
The
2021.
verbal trademark.
That's exactly right. So that's what I wanted to bring out today. That's
I think that's
it.
fantastic, Dad, and worth discussing
I'm sure it's much easier to say than it is to do.
than it is to
Yes.
do.
Because isn't there a wave of inspiration that you get caught up in and you're like, I'm inspired for change?
Yes.
We do it every 4 years, don't we? I mean, we jump on the bandwagons where it's either change or no, we do it all the time. We just do it all the time. And we anticipate that change will always be good. And it isn't.
Until it isn't.
Until it isn't. Change is not always good. And it's very hard for us to grasp that because, so that's the PSA warning, isn't it? I mean, that's the public service announcement right now from the What If Project.
Right there.
That inspiration can be a life-changing positive thing, but can also just drag you down the toilet.
Drag it. I was gonna say appeal to our lesser angels, but I like drag you down the toilet. I like
That's
that.
a great one. That's appeal to our lesser angels. That's a great one. That's good.
Drag you down the toilet. So make it a part of your inspirational journey, and we will too. We'll try.
Yeah. And I think what we should try and do is come up with this roadmap of inspiration. And that would definitely be one of the mile markers that I would put on this roadmap to inspiration would be check yourself.
Check
For your record,
yourself.
Check yourself to find out if exactly what's going, because it gets caught up. And I think that's what kind of made me think of with this Marcus Lamb thing was the idea of this whole, I'm not, again, I'm not against anybody who doesn't want to get the vaccine. I think you should. But if you don't want to, it's not my job to tell you what to do. I don't like all the conspiracy stuff. And I think that's what upsets me, that people are getting caught up in. And when I saw the Marcus Lamb thing, I thought of the literally millions of people who are now trying to reconcile this whole idea of, I'm not sure if Marcus Lamb ever said, God will protect me, or I'm not going to die from this, or COVID isn't real. He might have. Obviously, if that was the case, then those millions of followers have to come to the realization today that COVID is real. And
another controversial stance, my friend.
I think it is for some people.
Honestly, it is for some people.
I think it is for some people. Maybe not for the general public, but obviously it is for some people, which, you can throw in the bucket with Bigfoot and UFOs and ghosts and goblins and
that's what I want. I want to see some hot goblin conspiracy stuff. That's what I.
It's out there, my friend. It's on the dark.
Goblin conspiracy.
It's on the dark web.
The dark web.
Yeah.
I've been there. You don't want to go there.
It is scary.
Don't get inspired if you're inspired by that.
Yeah.
Check yourself.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where we're going to end it.
I think Goblin Conspiracies is a good place to end it.
I think so. We're gonna tie it in a neat bow, right there with Goblin Conspiracy. Hey, we've got a lead on a guest next week. I don't want to say who it is, but we're hoping to have a guest next week. And what we are calling them, at least I started calling them, and I appreciate if you guys would follow suit. Is guest inspirers.
Guest inspirers.
Guest
I love
inspirers. We had Pastor Dan on as a guest inspirer, and we're hoping to have another guest inspirer on. We've got a couple that are lined up. We're trying to get them all figured out. And
also here, I didn't tell y'all this. Sorry, Dad.
That's right.
Speaking guest inspirers. Speaking of Pastor Dan, I actually talked with him yesterday, and he was saying that he was inspired by being on our podcast, which changed how he was doing a sermon series for Christmas. So he is actually bringing on, he does a lot of the web content for his church. And so he is actually bringing people on to do sermons with him on web content that he is putting out. And he said he was inspired by our podcast to do that. And I thought that was a very beautiful thing. So
look at
inspired
that.
somebody.
See, we made a difference, baby. This will be our last podcast. We made a difference. We're done.
We're done.
We did it.
And done again now.
we're done.
We did it. Again, we want to encourage you. Go right here, right there. Believeinthewhatif.webnode.com.
Right
Check it out. If
Zach,
you don't,
you got
go
me.
to YouTube. Right there. See it? Boom. Hit the subscribe button. Bing. Boom. You'll know when we're coming on. Go check out the Patreon page if you want to help us out. If you think, hey, yeah, these guys can use $3 a month.
We can.
Because I'm tired of looking at that card and I want to see a sheet behind him or some sort of thing. Or maybe we could buy a new computer that could actually do backgrounds or something.
Maybe if they're $50 ones, they can choose their background. And say, hey,
Dude,
I want the Bahamas behind you.
I don't even have a $50 one up there.
Oh, well, I don't know.
And remember, $1
But
will give you a big
No,
old
it starts at $3.
sensual.
Go to the page, check it out, become a supporter, become one of our patrons, get a big shout out, all of the cool things that go with the What If project, and make sure you follow us here each and every. We're hoping Wednesday that next week we will have a guest inspirer out. We are looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to seeing you next week. So now we have it. We have it. We have the closing. We want to encourage you to always seek out inspiration, but be careful when you find it. We'll see you next week on the What If Project.